nice, getting rid of all the tool marks and little bites and clean up my little ornamentation in the bottom. That'll be a sweet little thing right there. Hey, I'm Captain Eddie Castellan in the shop. Let me show you something. It's a 4-sided box turned on a conventional lathe. Oh, the decoration and all I did on Lathe-Zilla. Don't worry about that. But this thing is really easy to do. It's easy to chuck up, and I think you'll like it. So get out your notebook, make some notes. Let's turn one. Started with a square block about 2 inches thick, 4x4 square. The lines you see are our radiuses. You also have to have a center point on each end of the block. This is so you can align it in a chuck. Now here's your chuck. It might look like it's broken, but it's a one-way strong hold chuck. I removed 2 of the jaws because we're going to hold the block between these 2 jaws. Kind of strange, isn't it? Here it is. We're going to put the block in. We have it in, we centered it up, we made sure that it was centered on both ends. Now, I'm using a pullback stroke because it's more comfortable for me to pull one back. Remember those sweeps we saw on the block? Well, that's what I'm going to cut to. I'm going to pull back, and every once in a while I'm going to stop and look at my sweeps. Now, the sweeps can't be to the outside edge of the block, as you saw a minute ago, because I need to align or allow for the curvature of the 2 inches of block. That's going to happen automatically. I'm going to pull back. Sometimes I'll be able to go forward when I can rub the bevel on enough meat, and then I'll switch over to my fingernail gouge grind to clean that end up. Now that is the cut. Now that's the line I was telling you about, and that's what I have to cut to. Now that way all 4 sides are about the same. And just think about this. It doesn't have to be centered. Now I've removed my tailstock, turned it around. I'm going to come in here and clean this up a little bit. I'm going to do a couple of pullback sweeps to clean up a spot. Now when I feel really comfortable with this, and I'm sure there's no vibration, no spinning, this is when I'll take out my double bevel fingernail grind gouge, go out about 2.5 inches where I've got some real meat, push it up and make these cuts instead of scrapes. Remember, these are scrapes right now. They'll need more sanding. Now I want to flip it around. See that little piece of lens? That's a piece of safety glass. I'll put it back there because if I didn't, those chucks would bite into that finished piece. And then I line it up by going around to the other end. Now, I've turned all 4 sides. And I'm going to come in here, every time I'm done turning, I'm going to go 150, 180, 220, 320, all the way up the line. And I'm going to stop occasionally and buff it off. Just take out some marks. And I'm going to do this as I go on because this is the only time I want to grab these on the top and bottom. Those marks I'm going to leave on there, when I grab it with the jaws, they're going to go away in just a few minutes. I take it out of my chuck. Now you'll see the marks there. There are a couple little bites. Now I flip it around and put it in my Coles jaws. Now this is not a safe hold because the Coles jaws want to spit that bevel out. But I brought my tailstock up and I'm just freezing the piece because I'm going to flatten up this end right here with my little scraper. Now that's all flat and cleaned up. I'm going to take a glue block with a rim on it because I only want a 1/4 inch contact on this. Put my glue block on there, medium thick super glue from CA Star Bond. And I'm going to make sure it's well seated. Put it on there, hit it with a little bit of accelerator. Now I'm ready to true up the glue block. Truing it up, I sharpened my skew to match the profile jaws. So I'm going to go in here and scrape up on my glue block a little bit, just so now I know the glue block is running true to the other block, and then I'm going to be able to flip it around. When I flip it around, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to take my 3/8 drill bit in my holder, and I'm going to go in and find the center of this piece, go in about 1.25 inches or so, just to clear the center out. I don't want to be putting too much pressure on this piece from the side pushing when I hollow it out. So I'm going to take the center out, Then I'm going to grab my really sharp 3/8 inch Ellsworth, and I touched it up just to make these moves, because I want all these cuts, even though they're going to be weird cuts, I want them all to be cuts and clean. I don't want to put a lot of pressure on this. I'm going to go ahead and start cleaning up my center here and get my piece ready to go. I'm going to go to maybe a 2-inch hole in the center of this. I don't want to go too big. I want some wood on top to show. This is a beautiful piece of Bolivian rosewood. And when it's all waxed out and got a great finish, I'm going to put OB shine juice. That's shellac, bar linseed oil, and alcohol mixed together. I'm going to put that on to bring the color out and bring the shine out. I'm going to take my Ellsworth and hollow this thing out and clean the center up. And then to square off the corners and all, I've got this self-made scraper out of an old tool made by Sorby. And I'm just going to go down on the inside and scrape it out real clean and get that all polished up. Get the bottom flattened out. I'm going to put a little ornamentation in there. I made this flip block, this jam chuck. You see the ornamentation I put down in the bottom there? That's on Lathezilla. That's just so when they look inside, they get a little surprise. All right, I'm going to flip this around, and remember, that's a jam chuck I just made. Remember that hole in the bottom that I lined it up with earlier? That's how I'm going to line it up again. I'm going to bring it up. I'm pushing it onto that jam chuck nice. I used my stock. Remember, I only had a 1/4-inch rim right there to cut off. Watch how quick this goes. Just about 10 seconds of cutting. 7, 8, 9, doop, gone. Get that out the way. Then I'm going to get this completely out the way, bring up my tailstock again, remove that, and start putting the bevel back on the bottom. I'm going to treat the bottom just like I did the top. I'm going to have a little bit of a flat spot in the bottom, and then I'm going to raise it. When it sits on a table, I don't want it to hug the table. I want it to have lift. I want it to look like it's floating there a little bit. And I'm going to put a little ornamentation on the bottom. Hey, well, there you have it. It's a 4-sided box on a conventional lathe. Now, if you feel uncomfortable making any of these moves or any of these cuts, stop. Don't get hurt. It's just not worth it, is it? Well, now I'm going to make me a little flowered lid on my Lathezilla to go on top of this and a nice little tall spire to give it some lift, and oh, this is going to be sweet. Oh, those stress cracks you may have seen in the edge grain, I sanded this with my sanding wax and 600 grit disc, the Blue Flex from Vince. And I sanded it in, and those little fines filled in those stress cracks. When I go over it with my finish, you'll never know they were there. This thing, I got this in a raffle 8 or 9 years ago. This is a nice block of wood. Well, I'm Captain Eddie Castellan in the shop making shavings. Be safe, okay? Be safe.